What if I told you that the gold of the Russian Tsars, wealth so vast it could rebuild entire kingdoms, simply vanished one day? No robbery, no invasion, just silence. Documents disappeared, ledgers were rewritten, and royal vaults that once gleamed under candlelight were left hollow. Some said it was stolen by those closest to power. Others whispered it was hidden beneath the Russian snow, waiting for a day of reckoning. But what really happened to the fortune built by Peter the Great and Catherine the Great, the rulers who shaped an empire out of chaos? Tonight, we follow the trail of the vanished gold of the Russian Tsars. The story begins in the early 1700s, in the heart of St. Petersburg, a city carved from swamps by Peter the Great's iron will. He had transformed Russia into a modern European empire and filled his treasury with unimaginable riches: Persian gold, Swedish silver, diamonds from India, and Chinese silks. These treasures were not just symbols of wealth, they were proof of Russia's new power. When Peter died in 1725, the empire passed to his wife, Catherine the Great. She continued to expand Russia's reach, collecting rare artifacts, commissioning golden icons, and locking away the empire's fortune in heavily guarded vaults beneath the Winter Palace. But behind the glitter of imperial Russia, the court was a nest of rivalries. Ambassadors, generals, and ministers all wanted their share of influence. And as the empire grew, so did the greed within its walls. By the late 18th century, whispers began to spread among noble families. Carriages carrying gold bars and secret documents vanished on routes between St. Petersburg and Moscow. Shipments meant for the Russian army never arrived. The imperial bank's records showed impossible losses. One man, Count Alexei Orlov, a trusted general and former ally of Catherine, was rumored to have been involved in transporting part of the treasure abroad. Some said he sold it secretly to European financiers in Venice and Amsterdam, laundering the Tsar's gold through merchant networks. Others believed he hid it across Crimea before his mysterious disappearance. When Catherine died in 1796, her successor, Paul I, ordered a full audit of the royal treasury. What they found was shocking. The empire's reserves were missing nearly 60 tons of gold and silver, and the ledgers that recorded its movements were torn or altered beyond recognition. The mystery deepened under Tsar Alexander I, who suspected that the vanished gold had funded secret political alliances. He received letters from Paris and Vienna suggesting Russian gold was being traded among European banks during Napoleon's rise. British intelligence reports even hinted that some of the Tsar's wealth had found its way into the Ottoman Empire, exchanged for weapons and diplomatic leverage. But within Russia, silence reigned. Anyone who spoke too loudly about the missing gold faced exile or worse. Entire families who once managed royal accounts disappeared from records. The archives of the Ministry of Finance were mysteriously burned in a fire that was never officially explained. The truth, it seemed, was buried under layers of power, fear, and betrayal. When the 19th century dawned, the legend of the vanished Tsarist gold became folklore. In rural Russia, peasants spoke of the cursed wagons that carried gold into the night, guarded by soldiers who never returned. Some believed the treasure was hidden beneath the Volga River. Others claimed it was locked within secret chambers of the Kremlin. During the chaos of the Napoleonic Wars, Russia's need for money grew desperate. The empire minted coins mixed with cheaper metals, a silent admission that the royal gold was gone. By the time Nicholas I took the throne, the trail had gone completely cold. But traces appeared again in Europe. Ancient Russian coins surfacing at auctions, golden icons found in private estates in Germany, even a set of royal jewels that reappeared in the possession of a French banker who claimed they were gifts from a distant land. The 20th century brought revolution. When the Bolsheviks stormed the palaces in 1917, they expected to uncover the legendary treasure of the Tsars. But what they found were empty vaults, looted paintings, and a few chests of old documents. Lenin's investigators combed through Europe's banks, tracing transactions that stretched back to Catherine's reign. Many led nowhere, others to secret accounts under false names. A few pieces of gold were eventually recovered, coins bearing the mark of Peter the Great. But the bulk of the fortune was gone forever. Historians today estimate that if the lost gold still exists, its value could exceed billions of dollars. Yet no definitive proof has ever been found. So where did it go? Some modern researchers believe the treasure was quietly moved by loyalists of the Romanov dynasty, hidden in remote monasteries in Siberia, or smuggled out through the Baltic Sea. Others argue it was a massive financial cover-up, that the empire spent more than it could afford, and the gold was never stolen, it was squandered. Still, the idea of betrayal within the royal circle lingers. Secret letters between Catherine's advisors reveal growing mistrust. Coded phrases like, "the sun must be moved," or "the river sleeps beneath the mountain," possibly hints towards hidden roots and secret vaults. The gold may have changed hands countless times, transforming into currency, investments, or influence shaping politics across Europe long after its disappearance. And as the centuries passed, the legend of the vanished Tsarist gold became part of Russia's identity, an unhealed scar from its imperial past. Even today, expeditions venture into abandoned tunnels beneath St. Petersburg, searching for traces of the treasure that once symbolized the might of an empire. Museums hold fragments of artifacts recovered from forgotten estates, while historians still debate whether the disappearance was theft, corruption, or a calculated act of survival during turbulent times. The story endures because it represents more than lost wealth. It reflects how power, greed, and ambition can destroy even the grandest of empires from within. In the end, the truth about the vanished gold of the Tsarist gold may never surface. Perhaps it lies deep beneath frozen earth, or perhaps it has long been melted and scattered across the world. But one lesson stands eternal. The wealth of nations is fragile when built upon secrecy and fear. The gold that once defined the glory of Russia became its greatest mystery, a symbol of how greed can outlast even kings. The moral of this story is simple. Power may build empires, but it is honesty that preserves them.